Hello everyone, it's time for Chapter 2, Part 3. June 1865. It had been 3 months since we'd moved the headquarters to Nishi-Hongwanji. So the Shinsengumi have relocated from Mibu to the Nishi-Hongwanji temple. There's a lot more room, but more room meant, well, further to walk. I'd walked through it nearly every day for several weeks, and I was finally beginning to learn my way around. As I turned a corner near the back of the compound, I caught sight of someone sitting in the shadows. "There you are, Sanan. Your food's ready." "Oh, hello, thank you." The snow had disappeared, the cherry blossoms had bloomed and fled, and now the swallows and the heat had come. Sanan and I exchanged a pair of smiles, and I held out my hands to let the breeze brush across them. "It's really gotten warm lately?" Yes, it has," said Sanan. "Unfortunately, the heat and the sunlight aren't particularly pleasant for me." "Really? I hadn't thought the sun was particularly strong that day, but to Sanan, who had to hide in the shadows or stay indoors during the day, it must have seemed unbearable." The night he'd changed, Sanan's hair had turned white, and in his eyes had been a thirst for blood. Sanan was officially recorded as being deceased, when in fact he had drunk the water of life and became a Fury. He is now in command of the Fury Corps. But to look at his peaceful smile now, it was hard to imagine that night had even been real. If someone had taken me aside and said it was all a bad dream, I would have believed them. It hadn't been a dream, though, and now Sanan spends his days avoiding being seen and hiding from the sunlight. The Shinsengumi's greatest secret. Here it is. For just a moment the sun lit on Sanan's hair. I don't know if it was a trick of the light or simply my mind being foolish, but in that moment his hair was a brilliant white. "Ah!" "Is something the matter?" asked Sanan. "You look as though you've seen a ghost, which I hardly feel as polite." "Oh, no, nothing at all." He looked perfectly normal now, of course. Surely, I thought, I must have simply imagined it. Even if I had, there was no denying that he was the same man who had gone mad with bloodlust. It was unnerving. Heisuke and I made our way through the crowded-as-usual streets of Kyoto at a brisk pace. "You know, I haven't gone out on patrol with you in quite a while, Heisuke." Oh, yeah, I guess not," said Todo. "Edo had me pretty busy." Shin and Sano didn't bug you while I was gone, did they?" "No, they were perfect gentlemen. I'm fine." I couldn't manage to suppress a short giggle. "They look out for me when we're out on patrol, but I still haven't found any information about my father, though." "Yeah," said Todo, "I stopped by your place in Edo after you told me where to find it, but He couldn't seem to find the words he was looking for, and instead just kicked at a clump of dirt in frustration. "Oh, well, thank you for taking the time to look anyway." Heisuke looked up in time to see my face fall and gave me a good-natured pat on the shoulder. "Come on, cheer up. Who knows, he might just pop up some day." "You're right. Besides, you're all helping me look, so I've got to find him sooner or later. But what about you? You haven't been back to Kyoto in a while?" Said Todo. "Well, I sort of feel like the town has changed, so have the people." Heisuke? The smile he'd put on to cheer me up a moment ago was gone. Nostalgia and melancholy weren't like him. Said Todo. Heisuke's head jerked up a fraction of a degree, and he looked across the street. He stood up on his toes and waved. "Hey, Suji, find anything over there?" "Nope," said Soji Okita. "Everything's normal." Okita was out on patrol as well, although his route took him through a different part of the city than ours. He gave me a short nod of acknowledgement, then looked back toward Heisuke with a snicker. "Well, normal for now at least," said Okita. "I'm sure things will pick up once the Shogun gets here." "The Shogun's coming to visit Kyoto?" "Yep," said Okita. "It's got Kondo all worked up too." If the Shogun was visiting, that was a chance for the Shinsengumi to be noticed. Kondo's reaction to that possibility was easy to imagine. I giggled. "Oh yeah?" said Todo. "Yeah, I bet he is." That didn't seem like Heisuke. Had something happened that I didn't know about? I looked over to Okita, hoping that he might help, but Okita coughed. "Okita, are you all right?" His face was tight with pain, and his coughing was getting worse. He glanced up, but his gaze swept past me and across the street. His eyes narrowed at something behind me, and I turned in time to see a Ronin stumble backwards. Whoa, what do you mean, no?" said Goro. "Stop it! Let go of me!" "We're patriots, fighting every day to kick those damn foreigners out of our country," said Goro. "The least you can do is give us a little booze, or maybe even a little company." Across the street, a clump of men, perhaps 3 or 4, were harassing a young girl. I didn't know what they were up to, but it didn't look pleasant. "We have to help her." I felt Heisuke tense up next to me. "I know," said Todo. "Stay here, Chizuru." Before he could finish, a flash of blue cloth shot past us toward the dangerous knot of men. Well, said Okita. "Guess being a patriot doesn't mean what it used to, if we've got men like you throwing it around." The usual crowds shuffled away from Okita and the men as quickly as they could. None of them wanted to be nearby once words were put away and swords unsheathed. The Ronin's eyes found Okita's jacket, and the men stiffened. You're one of those Shinsengumi fellas, ain't ya?" "Ah," said Okita, "you must be the brains. So tell me, Chief, what's it gonna be?" His lips curled back into a predatory smile as his hand fell to the haft of his sword. There was no mirth in that rictus grin, and the Ronin's faces abruptly grew several shades paler. They were only somewhat deflated, however, not entirely punctured, and their ringleader made one more attempt. "Oh, goddamn it, get out of here, you brown-nosing son of a bitch." "Oh, shut up," said Todo. "If you really want to live, maybe you should follow your own advice." The sight of two of the Shinsengumi's notorious blue jackets standing shoulder to shoulder was apparently enough of an argument for the Ronin. The last of the colour drained from their faces, and they turned tail and ran. "You aren't going to go after them? Arrest them?" "And charge them with which crime exactly?" said Okita. "Didn't figure you for the iron fist sort." He was right, of course. They'd had crime on their minds, certainly, but they hadn't actually committed one. "Iron fist?" "What are you so worked up about?" said Todo. Never mind, forget about it." My name is Kaoru Nagumo. Thank you for saving me," said the girl. I watched as the girl gave Okita a quick bow. She was so refined, so ladylike. Even dressed like a girl, I doubted I could ever be as elegant as her. I'd only just begun to feel sorry for myself when suddenly I felt a hand on my arm. "What, Okita?" "Calm down, kid. Just come here and stand next to her." He shoved me next to the girl we'd just rescued, then stepped back to stroke his chin thoughtfully. Okita?" I glanced nervously toward the girl and gave her my best attempt at a smile under the circumstances. The smile she gave me in return was beautiful, but there was something about it that seemed odd. "Just as I thought," said Okita. "They look just like each other." He seemed to be talking mostly to himself, but as soon as the words left his mouth, I realized what had seemed odd to me. "We look like—" No, it was more than that. We were too much alike. It was almost as if I were looking into a mirror, but a mirror with a will of its own, and wearing much better clothes. The longer I looked at her, the more uncomfortable I felt. I shuddered. "Really?" said Todo. "I don't think they look alike at all." No, they're practically identical," said Okita. "Dress the kid up like a girl and you wouldn't be able to tell them apart." The girl, Kaoru, was looking straight at me as if she hadn't heard a word Okita had said. I had to say something, but what? Perhaps she saw through my confusion, or perhaps it was something else. "I wish to thank you properly," said Kaoru, "but I'm afraid you've caught me in the middle of an important errand which I must attend to. Please forgive my rudeness." She bowed quickly to Okita. "I hope I will be able to repay you soon, Okita of the Shinsengumi." And with that, the girl who called herself Kaoru disappeared into the crowds of Kyoto, although the unease her presence had created in me remained. With a mischievous grin, Heisuke dug a playful elbow into Okita's ribs. Hey, looks like she's got the hots for you, Soji." "Ha," said Okita. "Oh, Heisuke, is that really what you think? You've got a long way to go before you're at Sano's level." "What?" said Todo. "Hey, what the hell's that supposed to mean?" Their back and forth continued, but my mind was elsewhere. Last night's rain had left a number of puddles on the road, and when I looked into them, I saw a strange girl who looked just like me. Kaoru, huh? Wind caught the surface of the puddle, sending a flurry of ripples across it. My face quirked into a small smile, but the face in the puddle didn't smile back. "Come on, Chizuru," said Todo. "Let's get moving." "All right, I'm coming." Wasting no more time on a puddle, I turned and ran toward Heisuke and Okita, already on their way back to headquarters. The temple was much larger than the compound in Mibu as advertised. The entire Shinsengumi could gather in the new common room with space to spare. As Kondo spoke, his voice echoed grandly throughout the hall. "By now, I imagine you have all heard that Iemochi Tokugawa, the 14th shogun of the Tokugawa shogunate, will be visiting our city of Kyoto. The Shinsengumi have been asked to guard him as he passes through the city on his way to Niju Castle." The Shinsengumi guard the shogun? Almost immediately the room exploded in cheers. "Hey," said Hijikata, "too hard for them to ignore us after Ikeda and Hamaguri, huh? All that work's finally paying off." "I guess you could say the fate of the country'll be resting on our swords, eh?" said Okita. He let out a snort of laughter as he spoke, but there was something in what he said that put me on edge. Then again, it wasn't as if I'd be going to guard the shogun. "Parade guards, eh?" said Ito. "If only Sanan were still with us. We have truly lost a valuable ally." They'd never told Ito the truth about Sanan. In fact, the entire incident surrounding his transformation had been covered up. Only a few of the men of the Shinsengumi knew the truth. Perhaps Kondo felt guilty for deceiving him, because I saw a brief flicker of bitterness cross his face before he spoke. "Well, at any rate, things are going to be rather hectic here very soon, so we ought to get our assignments hashed out. To begin with, I'd like Toshi, Soji, and myself to—" "Sorry, Kondo," said Hijikata, "but you think maybe Soji can sit this one out? I think he's getting sick." "What? Soji?" said Kondo. "Is this true? Are you all right?" "The demon's just being a mother hen, sir," said Soji Okita. "I think I'm fine." "Don't give me that crap," said Hijikata. "You just about coughed up a lung earlier." Fine, said Okita. "Think someone's being a little overprotective, though." His smile had turned a little bitter as he spoke, but he looked fine. Perhaps Hijikata was just being overprotective. I didn't have much time to dwell on it, however, before... "Heisuke?" Kondo," said Todo. "I'm not feeling so great either." "You too, Heisuke?" said Kondo. "This is our time to shine. I was hoping to have all of us there to greet the shogun." "Yeah," said Todo. "Sorry." "Oh, no, said Kondo. "Your health comes first, always. I'm sure you'll have another chance. I'll just have to make sure you get to do something spectacular." He did his best to simply wave it off, but it was easy to see his genuine concern for Okita and Heisuke. Once he had finished inspecting the rest of the soldiers and sending them off on their assignments, Hijikata turned to me. "All right, what are you going to do?" Don't give me that. I'm asking if you're coming with us or not."
I can go too?"
"Of course," said Kondo. "We certainly won't mind. After all, you're practically one of us. If you want, I'd love to have you come."
Could I really go?"
I hesitated for a moment, confused, and Okita and Heisuke laughed. "You don't need to worry about yourself, kid," said Okita. "Nobody's going to be stupid enough to try and attack the shogun."
Why don't you go?" said Todo.
"I'd be surprised if anyone did so much as draw a sword." It didn't seem quite fair to me that I wasn't even a soldier and I could go while they were stuck back at the compound. Still, I'd felt drained lately with the lack of information we'd been able to uncover about my father. Perhaps this would be just a thing to cheer me up.
"I'll go."
Perhaps the excitement of the occasion was infectious, as I felt a steel in my spine that hadn't been there before. If so, however, it appeared Hijikata was immune. "Calm down. You're just carrying messages. Think you can handle that?"